Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Hamzah Sheeraz and Pacheco. I'll be honest with you, I'm shocked to hear that this fight is happening. This is a very risky fight for both guys. I guess that's what you want. 50-50 fights in the sport of boxing, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm very shocked that this fight is being worked at the moment. Now, looks like Hamzah Sheeraz and Diego Pacheco could be fighting for a WBO strap. But if they can't get the money right, Hamzah Sheeraz could be going the WBC route. Nonetheless, Hamzah Sheeraz and Diego Pacheco is one of the most anticipated potential fights of the year, not because of trash talk, but because of what it represents. A true crossroads fight that, in my opinion, has two undefeated contenders on the verge of something bigger, but one's going to move up the ladder, the other one's going to reverse. This isn't about hype belts or social media noise. This is about positioning for real championship leverage at 168, specifically that WBO strap, and possibly altering the entire landscape of the division. So fans are excited because styles matter here, and the margin for error is razor thin. Hamzah Sheeraz just tranquilized Edgar Berlanga, and then Diego Pacheco was in a life or death fight in his most recent fight. Although he seemed to dominate most of the rounds, he was getting hit with some hard shots and even got dropped. Now, we look at Shiraz. His most recent performance has continued to reinforce what many already believe, that his power is real, his size is real. Bottom line, he's a real problem. Confidence is growing every single outing. And his last fight, what Shiraz did, man, with them elite punches, man, and getting Berlanga up out of there, was just, that's how you decisively end the night. Now, what stood out is it wasn't just the knockout, but how calm he looked getting there. He didn't rush, he didn't chase, he trusted his fundamentals and let the power come naturally. And that just shows growth, that shows experience. And I just think that's a dangerous evolution for a fighter who already had the stopping power that he had. Hooking up with Andy Lee has done nothing but help Hamzah Sheeraz tremendously. I just think the most patient, and the more patient Shiraz becomes, the more terrifying he is for the division. He's a big boy, man. It's Pacheco, too. Both of them cats is like 6'4". But you got to look at the styles. Like with Shiraz's style, really built on leverage and timing. Tall, rangy, knows how to use his frame. Jab isn't just a rangefinder, it's a weapon. And that sets up everything else. And everything showed up when he faced Berlanga. Now, Pacheco is not Berlanga. Totally different styles. Going to be more difficult of a fight. But I just think when you look at Shiraz, he recognizes when opponents step inside, he has to make them pay. When they try to stay on the outside, they struggle to win rounds because of his length and activity. The difference here is Pacheco's a big boy with long arms too. What's important is that Shiraz doesn't need chaos to win. He can break fighters down systematically. That matters greatly when talking about championship level opposition. Now, Diego Pacheco is no joke. Viva Mexico Cabrones. He's just a totally different type of threat, man. Pacheco is durable. He can fight. He's not going to quit. They got some guys, when you get in the ring, you gotta kill him. And I don't know if Shiraz can do that. But what I will say with his last fight, to showcase why so many people believe in him, despite those defensive flaws. Pacheco brings volume, size, athleticism, and a willingness to engage that makes him dangerous to anyone. He throws combinations with bad intentions. He doesn't shy away from exchanges. And he believes in his chin. The thing about the chin, make you think about Joe Joyce and Suber Matias. You can't just sit there and think you're just going to keep taking them bing-bings on your chin and push through and end up and getting wins. At some point, the chin gives out. In his most recent outing, Pacheco showed resilience and offensive confidence. But he also showed exactly why some fans and analysts are concerned. He gets hit cleanly. He gets hit often. When you enter at the elite level, that's not a small issue, man. That's potentially career-altering and a huge problem. And again, just look at Joe Joyce, Suber Matias, even Ricardo Mayorga back in the day. You can't just come in and take all them shots. Now, as far as Pacheco's offense, it's legitimate. He's not a hype job. He gets in there, he'll put the bing-bings on you. He can punch, he can fight at range, and he can press when needed. But defense has always been the question mark. He relies heavily on toughness and recovery rather than avoidance. Against mid-level opposition, that works. against someone like Shiraz, who carries power late and doesn't panic under pressure, that approach is extremely risky. You don't get hit by Shiraz repeatedly and just figure I'm going to tough it out. Now, that's not how that works. Something's going to land, and it will change everything. And that's why this matchup is very, very fascinating. Pacheco wants volume, rhythm, momentum. Shiraz wants patience, control, and one clean opening. Pacheco throws more punches, Shiraz throws fewer, but with more consequences. The question becomes, can Pacheco impose his pace without paying a severe price? And can Shiraz handle sustained pressure? If Pacheco decides to push the fight into uncomfortable territory early, what happens? What happens with Shiraz? His corner, if Shiraz gets hurt. Because Pacheco can put his foot on the gas from the first second of the first bell to the last second of the last bell. I think one argument fans make is that Pacheco's willingness to engage could actually trouble Shiraz if Shiraz hasn't been tested at that pace yet, which I don't think he has been. Adamus kind of pushed him, and you can see how that fight went. A lot of people felt Adamus deserved to win, but it is what it is. And I think that's fair. Because, again, I haven't seen Shiraz in deep waters against someone who refuses to be discouraged. But there's always a counter argument, and it's a strong one. And that's Pacheco's defense simply may not be good enough to survive that experiment. Pressure only works if you're not getting punished for applying it. If Pacheco walks into clean shots early, the fight may never reach the later rounds. Another wrinkle in this whole situation is the possibility that Shiraz may choose to pursue that WBC route like I was mentioning, instead of that WBO strap tied to Pacheco for a fight. But you already know Shiraz and Eddie going to do what's best business-wise, legacy standpoint, and for that Wu-Tang cream cha-ching ching. I just know the WBC offers a clear promotional pathway, more visibility, and international appeal. And whether you like Mauricio Sulaiman or not, the WBC seems to be the route a lot of fighters want to go. So I know for a fact they know Pacheco presents an unnecessary risk for less reward. So that's why they may be seeing, what the options are. But he's going to make a strategic decision, and he's going to make sure it's a decision that benefits his career trajectory. And some fans ain't trying to hear that because it's boxing politics, and they just don't want to hear it. So the most dangerous fight is not always the smartest fight at a given moment. Pacheco is very, very dangerous. He's young, hungry, nothing to lose. He doesn't care. He's coming to fight. Those are the opponents that derail careers quickly and quietly. If Shiraz can secure a title shot through a different path, it may be the smarter long-term move. Even if fans are disappointed, these fighters are going to do what's best for them, man. But I tell you what, if the fight happens, it'll answer some questions for both men. I think it's like whether a guy like Shiraz can deal with volume, physicality at the highest level for Pacheco, whether he can tighten that defense enough to survive, against a true power puncher. So this isn't a fight where both men can win comfortably. Someone's strength is going to be exposed and someone's flaws will be punished. And that's really how I see the fight, man. But ultimately, the anticipation around Shiraz and Pacheco exists because it feels like a fight that shouldn't be easy for either man. It's the kind of matchup boxing fans claim they want. Young, undefeated, meaningful stakes, real consequences. So whether it happens for the WBO strap or Shiraz pivots toward the WBC route, the mere possibility of this fight has already added tension to the division, and tension is good for boxing. If this fight happens, it won't be about hype. It's really going to be about the career trajectory of both guys. More, I think in particular, Shiraz, because Eddie Hearn's not going to make a misstep. But he got Pacheco too, man. I'm tripping. So Eddie Hearn could put them together, man. I just think it's about execution. We'll see what they decide to do, but at 168, execution's everything, man. And the more I think about it, Eddie Hearn will probably take Shiraz a different route and have Pacheco fighting somebody else for the WBO and Shiraz fighting somebody else for the WBC. That's why he can have two more guys become champions. Boxing politics at its finest. Keep cool, I'm in the breeze.